How we doing, everybody? I am Jeff Hoke here with Chris Henrique and Kevin Perdios, and this is episode, I don't even know where we're at right now, episode 20, 22 of Short End It Takes, a Boston Bruins podcast. And this is our special trade deadline episode. We are recording on a Monday. We are a little under an hour away from the official deadline of the NHL trade. And before we get into it, before there's any shocking trades, there's already been some. Ever feel unable to focus, tired, or low on energy? We understand that feeling. We understand so well that Short End It Takes, a Boston Bruins podcast, is brought to you by Couch Guys Sports Network, sponsored by our friends over at Shark Energy. Visit sharkenergy.com and use promo code CGSN for 10% off your order today. That is promo code CGSN for 10% off your order today at sharkenergy.com. And we're also brought to you by Exogun massage gun. Can't forget that one like I did last week. So what are we thinking, guys? Well, we just actually got a Bruins trade in probably about 10 minutes ago. Josh Brown of the Ottawa Senators was traded to the Bruins for Zach Senyshyn and a 7th round pick, and a 225-pound D-man, 6'5". Probably slots into that second or third pairing, I would have to think, with Hampus Lindholm on that first pairing. Kevin, what are we thinking so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think with getting Brown, it's just another real depth piece. Chris pointed out in our group chat, he's got a -9, no goals, 6 assists, 46 games played. So it sounds like it'll just be more of a depth depth trade, which, I'm okay with. I think we've gone over it probably 100 times now over the last 21 episodes. We were exposed last year. One guy went down and it was all she wrote for us. So I'm never going to really be against adding depth, especially as a D pairing. We keep going back and forth. We'd rather see a guy like Chara in here, but in any way that you can get a body in here, I think we're okay with. This 6'5", he's listed here as 217, so it sounds like a pretty big boy. I don't really know much about him, but again, any depth you can add to that deep pairing, I think is a good move.
What say you, Chris?
So when we texted about maybe 10, 15 minutes ago, I said I was underwhelmed. I'm going to take that back. I'm going to take it back because last year during the postseason, during the playoffs, their Achilles heel was their defense could not stay healthy. And this is an opportunity where they can upgrade. I feel like this is an upgrade over Grzelcyk. It gives them somebody who has got some size. 6'5", 217 pounds, 225, whatever you want to call him, is like you put it, it's a big boy. His -9 isn't that attractive, but come here to a better team. But at the end of the day, if he can provide some physicality on the blue line for the Bruins, and more importantly, it's another piece to that defensive puzzle. It's kind of like, you can never have too much pitching in baseball. I feel like, as you get closer to the postseason, you can't have enough defensive players. And I felt like that was their Achilles heel. And Sweeney, to his credit, went and addressed that. The only, I guess, caveat that you could go ahead and maybe criticize would be is the fact that you're now beginning to punt 1/3 of that draft class in Zach Senyshyn. Truly now we can say that was a wasted, busted pick. Obviously we've known it for years. It's all been a good conversation to have, but now that he's gone, you can truly say that Zach Senyshyn was a wasted pick out of those three, to only net you back in essentially a depth defender when you could have used that first round pick to get someone who could have impacted the Bruins for seasons to come. So it's kind of like talking through both sides of your mouth, I guess, in regards to this. I like the fact that they got depth, but I don't think that we should let Sweeney off the hook and not at least criticize officially, now that Senyshyn's gone, that pick.
And especially if Jake DeBrusk does get traded today within the next 45 minutes that would officially close the book on the 2015 first round draft class, I do believe. Yeah.
Yeah, it would. Yep.
Yeah. And so that's something that you'd have to look into. Speaking of that, we'll move on to the more of the Bruins here really quick. Earlier this morning, they signed Jake DeBrusk to a 2-year contract extension. Kind of took some people by surprise. But I think in the end, we all knew that with the way the restricted free agent qualifying offer works, it's harder to trade people and it's harder to retain people on those qualifying offers. So it kind of helps out for trade bait at the end of the day. So we'll see in the next 45 minutes whether or not he gets traded. If not, we'll see at the end of the season. He'll play that first line wing for the rest of the season.
Well, so I think the only thing that makes it difficult though is we have to take into account Bergeron's injury and that it appears to be a little more serious than what people thought because he's now on injured reserve or whatever they call it. So he's out. Now, they're going to be connected to a bunch of players. And I feel like Sweeney, he's kind of like takes like the Chaim Bloom approach where he doesn't always go after the name that is kind of floated out there. So, but in the respect, it's going to depend. You're going to be down Bergeron. How long is he out for? You'd have to trade DeBrusk for another offensive player, I would think.
Yeah.
And it has to be someone who's going to provide more upside and be more of an impact player than DeBrusk. And if you don't end up moving him this year, you can ride out the regular season. And maybe that extension was a wink, wink. I'm going to move you in the offseason if we can't find the right dance partner before 3:00 or whatever time, 4:00.
I think that's exactly what they're positioning themselves to do, right? Like, I think they're setting themselves up nicely to be okay either way, right? Like, all right, we have you. We're not, say 45 minutes from now they don't find a partner. We still have you. We understand you want to get traded. We want to do what's best for the organization and the player involved, obviously. And by signing him to this makes it easier to trade in the offseason while still having him, be valuable for a postseason run. I think Chris, you might have been the one that tweeted out. I don't know who tweeted it out, but it was a good idea. Put Bergeron on the long-term IR and kind of do what everyone else kind of do what Tampa did or last year, 2 years ago, whenever it was, to avoid that little cap salary hit. I think $6 million would come off the books, free up a little salary for this year, and then have him healthy for the postseason. And I think I've always gone on the record of I don't want to trade DeBrusk. I think he's more valuable, but seeing Bergeron go down and seeing that it is more serious than we think, I think we were talking before we got on the show that I think the Raquel deal is more in play than we think because of that. I think like you were saying, to your credit, you got to get another guy in here that's going to factor in right away. And I think this pushes the envelope to go get Raquel and do the deal and really push to go over the top. I've been bashing Sweeney 22 episodes, 21 episodes now. And I think the way he's handled this deadline has been good. I've liked it. I think he's finally taking the steps he needs and doing his best to address the weaknesses. But, if he gets Raquel here, which, I probably 10% chance he does, 20% chance he does. But
I give it more. He's a freaking Anaheim Duck, for Christ's sakes. He has some infatuation with the Anaheim team over there. I don't know.
Yeah, he does, but so be it, and I think that's a move you have to make. I think the window's closing. Bergeron, if this is really as serious as it is, you have to really question how much longer he's playing. He's been banged up all year. The more and more I read into the Bergeron stuff and the injuries, I honestly think it's this year, and you'll be lucky if he signs on for next year.
And you mentioned Raquel. Bruins are in deep discussions with the Anaheim Ducks for him as we speak, but also the Vegas Golden Knights are in deep discussions with the Anaheim Ducks for Raquel as well. So we'll see how that goes. That was per Emily Kaplan. Obviously we know about Hampus Lindholm, fantastic signing, fantastic trade. We talked about it. It's just it was what kicked off the trade deadline for the Bruins, and it was just a fantastic trade. You didn't give up any of your big name prospects, and you were able to sign him for a long-term deal with a small cap hit. We'll move on to the rest of the NHL though. Tampa Bay, we'll start with them looking to three-peat those fuckers. They acquired Brendan Hagel a couple weeks last week, I believe, on defense, and then yesterday they got Nick Paul from Ottawa. Chris, who is stopping the Tampa Bay Lightning at this point?
Well, I don't think anyone. And to your point, they're slowly putting themselves back in the conversation as favorites and going potentially three-peat. This is a team that's a constant wagon. They've put themselves in a position every single year that they're always making these moves, and they're always in contention to to be in the conversation. And fans don't really have cap circumvention to really cry about this year. So I think it's a good move by them. But you know what though? Like, they can still be beat. You know what I mean? Like, if you get the hot goaltender, that's what we're hoping. If we end up having to meet up with them in the playoffs, get a hot goaltender, you get some sound defense. I think the Bruins can compete. But they're a good team.
You talk about hold on.
Yeah, I'll throw one quick comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
On who can beat them. I think everyone doesn't give Minnesota enough credit. They just go out and got Fleury, who's been playing unbelievable. They were already a good team. Their weakness was goaltending, and they go out and probably get maybe arguably the hottest goalie in hockey right now.
And then flip their struggling goalie to San Jose for.
Yeah, it's exciting. This is like, I'm always been, I love jumping on the bandwagons of teams that are new teams to the playoffs, right? Like, low key been an Oakland A's fan, always kind of pulled for them, but Billy Bean over there does, he won't get out of his own way, but you're always pulling for him. I always want to see them get over the top, and seeing a team like Minnesota really push to like, hey, we're going to make a run here. We're going to make a run at it. And this is really their year to do it, because Parisi, I think it's Parisi and it's one other guy I'm blanking on, their contract and cap hits get a little harder after this year.
Yep.
So it kind of handicaps them going forward. So they're looking at this saying, fuck it, let's go. Let's see what we can do here. And it's gonna be fun to watch. I can't wait for playoff hockey. I hope the Bruins continue to add, and I think we're gonna be in some good playoff hockey coming up with teams that we don't really even expect to be in it, that are gonna make strong pushes here.
Before we get to the big trade of the NFL trade deadline so far, Dallas keeps
NHL.
Did I say NFL? I always want to say NFL. I no idea why. My God,
everyone's trading. That's why. We're in that weird window where
they're all clumped together for me right now.
You got MLB signings, NFL trades, NHL trade deadline. Everyone's making moves across all sports.
I keep getting updates from like NFL reporters too, thinking they're NHL reporters. I guess we talked about the goaltending situation around the league. For some reason, Dallas traded for Scott Wedgwood, and they got a fourth rounder out of him. I don't know how the hell they managed that, but good for Arizona for getting rid of him. And I don't know why the hell Dallas needs another goalie. They already have Khudobin and friggin' Holtby. So don't know what's going on with that one. But apparently, according to NHL Watcher, you can watch the TSN Trade Center show that they have on every year. You can watch that on ESPN Plus right now. And apparently, currently they are having a meltdown over the goaltending situation of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Obviously, TSN is the Toronto sports network, so big Toronto fans up there. No one really wants to go to Toronto right now. It appears.
Why would you? What? Not saying that like that sounds so like malicious, but like I mean it. You know what they are, and what have they done to break their track record, right? They're I think I used the analogy last year, the Dallas Cowboys of the NHL. You look at them on paper and you're like, wow, this team should be a wagon. And then when push comes to shove and it's time to kind of nut up or shut up, they
Not up.
puke all over themselves and get bounced in the first round by the Bruins. It's kind of um what I wouldn't want to go there either. You know what I mean? Like I would, I don't know. I would just be like, you know what? Screw it. I'd rather go to a Vegas, a Bruins, or Minnesota, another organization that, we has a proven track record of winning and making strong playoff pushes. Toronto, not to, obviously you got to hate them because you're the Bruins fans, but I don't know. I don't really blame people for not wanting to go up there.
And you, before I jump over to Chris here, they don't really know where they're going right now because Jack Campbell, who started off the season as an all-star, really, really freaking good, has absolutely face planted. You then had Mrazek, who you placed on waivers, who just cleared waivers here today. And now you're going to your rookie, Engel, I think is his name. So, Chris, obviously it's hard for them to make a move when no one wants to come to Toronto, but is there a chance they make a move here in the next 30 minutes for a goalie?
You'd have to think that they're in the market to try to do so. I mean, it sucks too, because like the team is loaded with young talent, and it's one of those that like, you were just saying like a little while ago, like you quietly root for like the Oakland Athletics. I've always kind of had like this weird like affinity for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't know if it was because whenever I do like an NHL franchise, I usually pick them and I try to like build them into something. Maybe it's because they can never build into something. I don't know. But it's one of those teams that's like, I'd like to see them be competitive. There's so much talent there. They have arguably the besides, oh my God, I can't believe the dude's name escaped me. The dude in Edmonton, holy shit. Best player in the league.
McDavid?
Yeah, sorry. Matthews is having a really good year. Holy crap. Matthews having a really, really good year too. And it's just like,
he's leading the league in goals right now.
It's like this team can't get out of its own way. And no one wants to play there. It's almost like, I was reading an article, I think a couple days ago, where someone put like a pun on, instead of being the Leafs, it was the Leaves with Leaves. Like nobody just wants to stay there. And it's a shame, because I felt like last year, or maybe the year before, the COVID year, there was that massive, like they had a decent playoff push. I don't know. It sucks. I'd like to see them get competitive, but to your original question, yes, they need to get a goaltender. You can't go and ride it out with your rookie for the rest of the season. I guess you could, but it doesn't strike me that that's what the Maple Leafs are going to do. I feel like they're going to try to go out and try to make some sort of move to at least try to improve the team and maybe get someone they can have for the next handful of years.
Yeah, 100%. And, they tried for Marc-Andre Fleury. He rejected them because he has that no trade clause, so he could do that. But Minnesota ended up getting
Minnesota, provides more of that opportunity to win now.
Oh, 100%.
There's a little more, I think, consistency. But I feel like the Maple Leafs, though, they have a front office that isn't going to be afraid to make a move. They have a young GM, so I feel like they're not going to be afraid to go ahead and try to bolster this team any way that they can.
So let's go. Let's go to Kevin here for this next one. Claude Giroux, the big name on the market this year. It was officially traded after his 1,000th game. They were waiting for his 1,000th game with the Flyers, and he had that great ceremony. Trade to the Florida Panthers, because why not at this point? Bruins had a very good offer. but he turned down the option to go to the Bruins and decided to go to the Florida Panthers instead. So Kevin, they gave up Owen Tippett for him. How much better does this make the Florida Panthers, given the fact that recent years they have not been able to get out of the first round?
A lot better. It makes them a lot better. They got one of the top goal scorers in the league right now. You know, like Claude Giroux is a guy that you know, he reminds me of, and this is going to be a bad comparison, but he reminds me of like the Brad Marchands, right? Like you hate playing against him, but you would love him on your team. Not obviously, no, I'm not comparing the styles of play by any means, but he's so good and so talented that you hate playing against him because you know what he can do, and you know that on any given moment he can hurt your team. You know, he can find the back of the net from anywhere really. When the rumor came out, or when the story came out that he nixed the trade of the Bruins, immediately reminded me of Jerome McGinley when he was deciding between us and it was Pittsburgh, and I think he went Pittsburgh, and then we bounced him. So hopefully that's the case. I would love to see Florida. Florida's another team that I think, similar to Minnesota, is just, it's good to see a different team than your normal, you know, 5 or 6 teams that are always in it jumping in the mix. I think Florida's a dangerous team. We talk all the time about goaltending. It seems to be the story, but they're a good goalie. They have a good goaltending situation down there, and not even just for, you know, this year, it's for years to come. So I think they're gonna factor into the equation for years to come. And Giroux provides that veteran leadership with a young core that's down there that can really push them to the next level. But you know, you nixed the trade to the Bruins, so fuck them. I hope we face Florida, and I hope we have the luxury to bounce them this year.
So you know, little cutaway here for a second. I'll throw in our Shocked Energy ad while we're at it. Head over to shockedenergy.com and use our promo code CGSN for 10% off your order today. CGSN, 10% off your order at shockedenergy.com. I find this funny. The hot commodity of this year's trade deadline has been Weeksy, Kevin Weeks of the NHL Network, who has been breaking news from a whole bunch of different spots. And just now, the Arizona Coyotes traded Johan Larson to the Capitals for a 2023 third round pick. And this time he did it. Weeks broke the news with a recycling bin on his head. So he knows we're loving this. He knows at this point, and he's very self-aware of this, and it's honestly fantastic, and is giving me hope for NHL reporters that, you know, this is their time to shine, and you know they're letting it shine. So
Gio, really quick on something.
Yeah,
I was thinking about this while Kevin was talking, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Think about the NHL landscape that it is now, that someone would go ahead and turn down an opportunity to go to a historic original 6 franchise like the Boston Bruins, a team that sent your former team arguably the best offer, or as Emily Kaplan put it, the most aggressive offer. And instead you want to play hockey in Florida. Like, think about that for a second. That the 2 best teams in the NHL are in Florida. They can't get baseball right down there. They got a team with the Rays, which is probably one of, if they had a stadium and could get fans there, on the come in that respect. The Miami Marlins can't get out of their own way down there. But yet Florida's figured out hockey. Like, that astonishes me. And the fact too, like, again, players are turning down opportunities to play with historic franchises. And like what bothers me, not even so much the fact that he didn't go to Boston, is the fact that his team had an opportunity to get even a bigger and better return, but because he wanted to play in Florida, that didn't happen. So the Flyers went and did the show and pony, that whole show of let's get your 1,000th game, whatever it was, and ride that out for what it is. By the way, we're going to pay half of your contract for the remaining of the season, and we're going to take a lesser offer. That was a decent offer they still got, but they're still taking a lesser offer. Like, throw your old team a bone too. By the way, they paid you like $67 million over the last like 8 years. And yet you're going to pick Florida, who gave the Flyers, a team that you grew up with, team that you played your entire career, a lesser offer. And like, it's kind of nuts to me. And I get it. Like, it's a different team and it's someone different, and the Panthers are set up. And I think it's cool. It's a nice story. It's cute, but like the NHL is, I'm tired of teams in Florida winning a Stanley Cup. Like, that's not hockey. Hockey is the Boston Bruins. It's the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's the Detroit Red Wings. It's the Rangers. Like, these teams should be the ones making the plays and getting these players. These players should aspire to go to Boston. They should want to be in New York. They should want to play in Toronto. I don't understand what went wrong. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell has gone wrong to where these teams have lost that cachet that people want to go and play in Florida? Like, it's fucking Florida.
Yeah, Chris. I mean, Chris, you're right, dude. Like, it's crazy. The world is upside down, right? The warm states can't do warm season sports right, but they can do winter sports, which they don't have down there. That's it's ass backwards, right? Like, I just looked it up again to go back, and I don't want to keep harping on this, but like you said, it's the big move of the deadline. I know it happened a few days ago, but still, it wasn't just Drew. Like, there was other people involved. Connor Bunningham, Jeremy Rubitsov, a 5th-round pick in the 2024 draft. There's other pieces with it, and it's still kind of like you said, if the Bruins were the most aggressive and sent you the best offer, it's kind of like, man, I wonder what they put in there. Well,
they also threw Owen Tippett in there too, which is big, which is what the big prospect was coming.
Oh, yeah. So then what would have been like? Has it been reported what the Bruins offered?
Right, no, they probably not until after the trade deadline.
So if think about it, if Florida gave up Tippett, a conditional 1st rounder, and a 3rd rounder, what did Boston offer that the Flyers couldn't even touch?
What's his name? Not the first guy, not Lysell or the other guy.
Lowry?
Yeah, well, it's probably Lowry, right? Like, you have to imagine, if you're being more aggressive, it was probably Lowry and a 1st-round pick.
Like, I'm going to spitball here, and this is just me kind of off the cuff here, but like, I get no trade clauses and players earn that and things along that nature. But if you're in the final year of your deal and you're going at the trade deadline, there should be no you can nix where you go. If you're in the final year of your deal and you're coming up to the trade deadline and your team wants to trade you to wherever they think that is the best fit to improve their club long term, they should be able to do that. Because think about it. If you sign an 8-year deal, the team has committed major cap to you over the last handful of years. They paid him $66.2 million. You're going to tell me that for the last 3-4 months of the season, you can't go and play in a Boston or in Colorado or you know what I mean? Like, I get it. Florida is the best team in the conference, arguably, give or take with Tampa. But like, to me, something's wrong there. You know what I mean? Like, you have to take a lesser return. I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of like throwing spitballing and I'm kind of just ranting for no reason, but it's just like,
no, it's a good question. Like, that's it. Like, you're right. I agree. I would rather see it. Like, it's fun to see new teams in, but you also want to see, like, this isn't, I hate Tampa Bay, right? Like, I hate Tampa Bay, not just because they're a wagon and whatever. Like, they're not a hockey city. You know, you don't envision them as a hockey city. You're not the original six.
They're not
But at the
original
same
six, but now
time,
you know what? To their credit, they're putting themselves in that conversation. They're becoming a destination, and I guess I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth. I guess Florida's trying to do the same thing, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
but I mean, Florida hasn't really shown you anything in past years that's gonna.
No,
Uh,
they have.
at least with Tampa Bay, they've won the last two. Florida, they've been first round exits. Plus, their coach just had to resign because literally he was part of the Blackhawks scandal. So I mean, but they don't
Yeah.
really they don't really have that same thing that they don't have that same pizzazz that the Tampa Bay Lightning would have.
I also want to know, like, again, like we can't really talk and I guess credit to the Flyers organization for trying to take care of this guy. And Chris, you're right. You know, they're doing all this. They paid you $60 million plus over the course of your career. You grew up there, all that stuff. I wonder how close it was though, right? Like, was it instead of hey, we got $200 on the table, just using money. We have a $200 offer on the table, or we have, $1.09 or $195. Was it that close where it's
Yeah,
really going to it's not going to make it's not going to alter our future drastically. Like
don't get me wrong, too.
We're like, hey, we'll give you, our top two prospects, two first round picks, and just blew you out of the water. You have to imagine the Flyers are like, listen, we understand you don't want to go, but this is a business and we can't say no to this offer. I would imagine even if the Bruins did make a good push or the strongest push, it was probably similar to what the Panthers offered as well.
And don't get me wrong, like I'm not trying to sit here and say, oh, the Sweeney went and screwed up and he got the wrong guy. I'm happy they got the defenseman first. That's what they needed to do. The Bruins needed to go ahead, and I think we probably said it for 20 episodes of the 22 that we've recorded. Defense, defense, defense. Sweeney went out and he did that. So I'm happy for that. I'm just more annoyed that
you could be that much better right now. You could have the opportunity to be that much better. Can you imagine if we have Lindholm and Drew on this team right now? Our tones would be a lot different, right?
Of course. I think in the conversation of where, a little while ago when Jeff said, talk about the Lightning, I think that it could maybe go either way. No? You know what I mean? Like you could have a legitimate conversation to say, hey, the Bruins are that much better. First off, you'd get one of the best, players to handle a faceoff in the entire league. He could slide in and take the pressure off of a Bergeron who's now hurt. You don't have to, and I'm not saying the Bruins will rush him back, but Bergeron, take your time. And then when Bergeron comes back, boom. You know what I mean? I'm looking at stats right now, 60.9% of what happened?
Top 9 lines, your top 9 forwards or your top 3 lines are unbelievable. Right?
So and again, just to kind of wrap this up so we can go to the next segment, I'm not upset that the Bruins did not acquire Claude Giroux. I'm a little more trying to ascertain the thought process as to where has the NHL now gone to that an original 16 is not looked in at the light of, that's a destination. But the Florida Panthers, when I think Panthers, I think that old school Panthers logo and John Van Viesbroek in NHL 94. The Sega Genesis. That's what I think of for the Panthers, right? I think of walking through a flea market and paying $8 for a knockoff Panthers practice jersey that you'd see any kid wear around junior high school. That's the Panthers. They've done nothing to elevate who they are.
They're just there. They're just like another NHL team to have another NHL team. Like it's not they're one of the best teams in the NHL. They're just the Florida Panthers. They've been around forever, but they always suck. They're the punching bag of the rest of the NHL,
However, they got Spencer Knight, and I think he's a great goaltender.
I love Spencer Knight. I can't speak highly enough about that kid. I watched him in the Olympics or World Juniors, whatever it was. I'm like, damn, this kid's legit. He is going to be a top 5 goalie in this league sooner rather than later. I'm very high on him. I think he's legit.
And they also have Sergei Bobrovsky to kind of fill out that goalie.
He was the one with the Flyers, right? Was that Bobrovsky? Where he was like,
Bobrovsky was with why am I drawing a blank? Chris, look it up for me,
who's the guy? Remember?
please.
Look it up, bitch.
I don't know if it was like the Winter Classic or whatever when the Bruins played. They like
Wasn't the
interviewed both
Flyers?
teams, and it's like the universe is humongous big. It's like just like for what it was some weird.
Yeah,
He's
he
just out
because
there.
can't
I
remember
forget who it was.
All right, what am I looking up?
where did Sergei Bobrovsky play before the Panthers?
He played for the Flyers.
It was the Flyers. Okay, so it was him.
Just he's a interesting dude.
Oh, 100%. He's a great goalie too. He's been outstanding this year. So we are about 17 minutes away from the 3:00 deadline, but as long as you're on the phone before 3, trades will trickle through until about probably about 3:10, 3:15. So with that being said, a couple of names to keep an eye out for the Bruins that I have heard. Obviously, we talked about Rickard Rakell of the Anaheim Ducks and Paul Stastny and Andrew Kopp of the Winnipeg Jets, just some of the names that we've been hearing the last couple of days. Whether or not those names come through to the Bruins, we shall see. So with that being said, let's see here. Well, let's Mike Giordano is I'm gonna go to Kevin on this one because I know how much he loves this guy. Mark Gio was traded to the Maple Leafs. That shores up their defense because Rasmus Sandin has a knee injury right now, and they are contemplating putting him on the LTIR until the playoffs. Shocker. Cap circumvented the cap, but we'll push that aside for now. So outside of goalie, though, did the Leafs get any better? I mean, they already had the best, front. They already have the best top 6 in the league almost with, Tavares, Nylander, Matthews, etc. Did game Giordano, did that help them on defense at all?
Yeah, I think that Toronto's in the similar spot to like the Bruins, like with the topic of getting Lindholm in here. Adding a guy like Giordano and adding even depth pieces to defense is never a bad move. I can't. My computer's not pulling up the details of the trade and what was sent back, but I love Giordano. I think he's quietly been a guy that you don't want to say he's underrated or like doesn't kind of get the credit he deserves because he does, but I don't think it's to the extent of really who he is and what he brings to a team. I think you introduce a guy like that into the locker room as well, it's a huge boost. It always seems like the teammates love him. He seems like a good dude. And then his on ice play speaks for itself. So I think Toronto is better. Yeah. But you're only as good as your goalie, like it's kind of like we keep mixing sports here, but it's similar to, in baseball or in football. You're only as good as your pitchers. You're only as good as your quarterback in football. If you don't have a good goalie or a goalie you can rely on to really get hot and play good hockey for a solid 2 months, month and a half of playoff hockey. It's tough to win. It's tough to win the Stanley Cup. It's tough to beat some of the best teams in the league without a really top 5, 6 goalie in the league. And I think long-winded answer as always, but we'll cut it short. Yeah, they got better, but I still don't view them as a legit contender because unless they find, strike lightning in a bottle and their goalie gets hot for a stretch, I just don't think that they'll be able to get past I don't think they'll be able to get past the Lightning, Bruins, Florida, whoever you really want to put in there. I don't see it.
So while you were talking, we got some trade news. We are looking at the New York Rangers are heating up, and it looked like they're about to acquire Andrew Kopp from the Winnipeg Jets. I'm not sure what the final deal is on that right now.
You know why I'm clapping to that? Because
Why?
it's an original 6 team going out, and they're getting a player, and it's a player that's going to go there.
You good? You
Yeah.
okay? I'm just so that takes him off the board for the Bruins. And apparently they're also pursuing Tyler Mott as well. The New York Rangers are.
So the Rangers just get that defenseman too. The Bruins were connected to a little bit earlier.
Braun, yes.
Braun, yeah, from the Flyers.
Justin Braun, correct. That was another trade. So we'll see what happens now with that.
So really quick, I was Kevin, while you were talking, I just put on the NHL trade deadline special on ESPN Plus.
The
I have ESPN Plus. I might as well go ahead and use it, right?
Oh yeah.
And ironically, they were talking about the Bruins during for like a couple of seconds there. And John Tortorella was commenting, and he was talking about the addition of Brown. And, his big thing, he basically said was, Bruins fans, you're going to look at his stat sheet and you're going to be maybe a little underwhelmed, so to speak. And I'm paraphrasing. I'm not saying word for word. But he was in a different situation than what he's going to right now in Boston. He was around a lot of younger players in Ottawa, going to come here to Boston where it's an accelerated environment. The team is pushing to win, get into the postseason. He commented on his big frame, commented on being a big player, projects him as more of a third line with Riley.
Yep.
And then they also were commenting that, they talk a little about DeBrusk in that how, the Bruins haven't accommodated his trade request because, to be honest with you, they want to get better and not detract from the team. And then the other piece that I noticed that was important to make note of is that their last 18 of the next 20 games are all in the Eastern Conference. These are all big games that are coming up for the Bruins. And this next stretch is going to make or break. So I think right now, Sweeney, it is super important for him to go ahead and find that last piece that kind of puts the little chef's kiss to his trade deadline right now.
Which is why I think we're not going to find out anything about the Bruins until about 3:10.
He's going to go for a guy like Zdeno Chara.
We already have enough defensemen, man.
Don't bullshit.
I know, but I need a top 6 forward. That's what I need.
Yeah, right. You do. I agree. Obviously, you want.
If you get a Cal Clutterbuck, you can throw Zdeno Chara in with him, and I'd be fine with that. But if it's just a straight up trade for Zdeno Chara, I mean, I love Big Z, but I need that top 6 forward.
Yeah, you do. I agree. You need to get someone in here that's kind of the wish list. Get a top 6 guy in here again. You imagine if that happens, it is a DeBrusk is out type of deal. But
guys, I want to add around DeBrusk. I don't want to move him.
Chris, believe me.
I know we're on the same page. He's hot right now. Last 14 games, he scored 8 goals. You know what I mean? Like, why?
I don't want him. I don't want him gone. Like I want DeBrusk on this team come 4:00 today. I'll say 4:00 to give wiggle room with last minute deals and everything. I want DeBrusk on this team. I'm just saying, if you're going to get another top 6 guy, you have to imagine, especially with DeBrusk signing that extension, he is going to be out. And I'm not saying it's the right move. I'm not saying it's the wrong move. I personally would rather see him here and run with it. But I think it's more at this point, it's more likely that we see a smaller deal. And that's kind of why I lean the Zdeno Chara route. More of a depth piece where you bring in Chara with the moves you've already made. I think that helps your penalty kill. You look at Chara and say, listen, man, we're gonna throw you on the 3rd, 4th pairing, throw you out on the penalty kill, whatever it may be, where you're a big body that can clear out the front of the net. And then someone takes a run at any of our top guys or young guys that we need forward. You got to answer the bell here for him. And we're small. We're a small defensive team. I'm blanking on the guy we just added. I know we just
Josh Brown.
Josh Brown is going back into that bigger body type guy, which is great. But I think you add another one like Chara, and it's just depth. I think we just got to keep adding depth if we can.
You talked about Chris talked about we're 7 minutes away here from the official deadline. We'll take you right up to about 3:10, 3:15. See if there's any trades that trickle in. Kevin might take us on the road. I don't know. We'll see. He's going to get to baseball practice, so we might go on a little field trip with Kevin.
Tryouts, baby. First
on
day
this,
of tryouts.
Hell, we might even get to watch him do tryouts while we're on this show. I don't know, but
I don't know about that. I don't know if I can go that route. But
head over to shockenergy.com. Head over to shockenergy.com and use promo code CGSN for 10% off your next order. So we talked about what Tortorella said about Josh Brown and the accelerated environment and all that stuff. Like Chris said, same can be said about Hampus Lindholm almost, because he plays on that pairing with 19-year-old Jamie Drysdale, and on a team that started off hot and has since dipped down pretty hard. So his stats aren't the best right now, and but putting him on a line with a top tier guy like a Charlie McAvoy for this matter will make him 10 times better. And that's going to be the biggest thing, is how can these two gel together? Because if they can gel together, they both are on 7-8 year contracts, and your defense, your top two pairing is set for the next eight years, and it's going to be glorious. And you already have both of your goalies set for the next 4 to 5 years. So your defense is looking really good. Now it's onto the offense. And I do agree with Kevin, though. You can never have enough depth at defense. So if they can maybe squeeze in maybe another depth piece on defense, that would be fantastic as well. But I'm not going to be upset if they don't get another defensive piece here by 3:00.
They may not have to, though, too. I mean, you got to look at two. They got that other dude, Cody Karan or Karan, or whatever, however you pronounce his last name.
Yep.
He's an AHL player. He's never played in the NHL. He's depth. So I think the need right now, the need is getting that last offensive piece. And I'm optimistic it's going to happen. It feels like it's going to happen. So it just, the Bruins are, what's really funny is that at the beginning of the year, when we first started recording, we were kind of split on this, but it was one of those where we didn't really think that the Bruins, as built, was a Stanley Cup contending team. And as of 5 minutes before the trade deadline, they have completely changed the narrative. They've flipped the script on that. They've put the Tuukka Rask, conversation to bed. Granted, he put it to bed because he got hurt, but that dark cloud is out of the way. The McAvoy piece that we thought could have been a conversation this year, that was put away when they re-signed him. CC Heimblum, Xander Bogaerts, right? So let's see if we can make that happen. So it's almost like we've given Don Sweeney a ton of flack this year. And all that man has done is just, he put the cherry on top. He saved his job, because they don't make these moves that they've just made with him being a lame duck general manager. Because if he's a lame duck general manager and he gets canned into the year, this is not an attractive destination for someone to come here, because there isn't the assets to go ahead and trade. The assets are going to come from the actual core from that's within. Sweeney is going to get the next player that he's going to be able to pay. They have cap space for next year. They have room. He's actually positioned themselves in a much better position than he's been given credit for. Now go ahead and back up those words and get someone else to put you, maybe not over the top, but as damn close as you can.
So according to Kevin Weeks, Jesper Kotkaniemi, how do you pronounce that guy's name? He came from Montreal. He's now in Carolina. He's just signed an 8-year deal with the Carolina Hurricane. So there's that. Final 3 minutes, as Petrol McGuire says, we are in the final five here on Nesson. But sadly, this isn't Nesson. And I think I'll get copyright infringement if I say Ford Final Five again. So I'm not going to go that far. So any
We had
last
a soundboard. We had a soundboard of this last, like for this episode. We could have done like the 1 minute remaining and like the period for like
Oh,
right
yeah.
for the deadline.
Yeah, let me just pull out my wallet and
Yeah.
I'm sure there's an app I can find it. I mean, shit, I just figured out how to rip the video. I look first off, right? I just realized you could screen record on the fucking MacBook. I mean, like I've had this thing for 2
You
years.
didn't know that?
No, I had no idea. I was like,
Wow.
all of a sudden, I'm like playing around. I shift command five.
You're like the expert on this shit, so I thought.
Let me tell you what, it's changed my life. I'm gonna have TikToks that are going out there. Like,
Sweet Jesus.
while you were talking before, I was
down, Jeff. End the podcast. It's over.
No, like while you were talking, when you guys were talking before, I was screen recording. I saved some of them. I was gonna try to throw something out on Twitter while the show was actually going on with some logos and stuff, but I had to pay attention because you started asking me about the Maple Leafs. That's why I was kind of caught off track a little bit. I was picking around with some other things.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of getting like a bunch of different. Our coaches are all freaking out because we're all pumped for tryouts, so they're all asking. We're all going back and forth. It's a nightmare. I gotta get off my phone for a minute.
So, while I'll let Chris do that. I'll let Chris do what he needs to do really quick, and I'll talk to Kevin here for a second. So,
oh no, I'm good now. We're good. We're
good.
good.
You're good now.
I'm refreshing. I'm refreshing.
We got back to TikTok.
It's for baseball TikTok. That's the next thing I'm trying to.
We are now in the final minute of the trade deadline. Like I said before, as long as you're on the phone in the final couple minutes, you are all set. Usually this will go right up to about 3:15, 3:30. We'll get off here probably about 3:15. So there might be a couple trades that trickle through afterwards, but we are once again Shorthanded Takes, a Boston Bruins podcast brought to you by Couch Guys Sports, sponsored by Shocked Energy and Exogun massage guns. So, Ian, any last thoughts, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. Any last thoughts as we wind down to the final seconds of the trade deadline?
Chris, you want to go?
Like I said a couple minutes ago, put the cherry on top and bring home another offensive piece. And that's really the last little thing this team needed to do. So I'm just refreshing the phone here.
I'm trying to do the same thing while listening.
Yeah,
I'm not a very good multitasker when it comes to this.
It's the last thing you need to do. I would also just kind of go ahead and say, like, Bruins fans, if they, and again, this could change in 30 seconds, but if they don't make the move, I don't think you should be disappointed, because he truly went out and went after the number one need, which was fix the defense. And not only that, Hampus, Lindholm, and McAvoy are now going to be paired together for the entire duration of both their contracts. And you now have basically like your Chara and like Seidenberg, pairing. So I think Don Sweeney went out and he just kind of didn't really pay attention to the noise, and he went out and he made a massive upgrade to this team. Now let's see if the team can back it up.
Jacob Chikrin will be staying put here. So that's just something to think about. They actually upped their price on Chikrin. Hey, Kevin, you're muted, buddy.
I know. Sorry, my dad was yelling down to me. So
okay. I was going to say you're trying to talk over here, but
no. We're multiple conversations going on at once.
Oh no, you're fine.
ADHD for you.
So as of 26 seconds ago, Pittsburgh Penguins are also in on Rickard Rakell. So that's just something to keep an eye on, along with Boston and Vegas. So that's going to be one that's we're not going to hear about for a few minutes. So we got about 15 minutes left here on this podcast, and we'll slowly wait out this, period of, trickle in effect. You see that every trade deadline, as long as you're on the phone with the central registry at 2:59:59, you are all set, and your trade will go through. So we'll see who ends up getting Rickard.
No Kessel either. Kessel is staying put in with the Coyotes,
according to his wife too. I saw.
Wow, I know we talked about that a few episodes back, and I forgot about that. I forgot that would have been a nice piece to see what you can do with. But I might have just completely blown off the final thoughts. But
Oh, you're fine.
I guess my final thoughts are kind of following up with Chris on, put the cherry on top. Go get another. Go get. I'll use Raquel just because it seems like he's a guy that's going to be moved and will be going somewhere. So hopefully it's to Boston. But yeah, go get that final piece. And if he's not, and if you don't do it, and you don't add anything else, and our team's set right now, it's a good move. I think Don Sweeney's won over some of the haters, and some of the haters being me. I'm happy with, at least he's shown and gone out and is legitimately trying to add pieces, not like years past where his MO is just continuing to add depth, or quote unquote depth pieces. And that's not what we needed. He took a serious look and said, you know what, I suck at drafting, so take my draft picks. I'm going to get this guy. I'm going to sign him to 8 years extension. And like you said, you're going to put him next to McAvoy for the duration of their contracts. And now, for the next, 8 years, your first line D pair is solid. I'm happy with it. I think you got to put the cherry on top. Hopefully, we talked about Drew, the Flyers throwing Drew a bone. You got to give Bergeron something here, man. You got to. This guy's dedicated literally his entire life to the Bruins. Throw him as much of a bone as you can, and take a Tampa Bay Lightning approach where push all the cards in and see what we can get, and see how far we can go with this. Because once playoff hockey starts, you're one injury away from it being anyone's game. So put the final cherry on top. But even if you don't, if you're not fortunate enough to, it was a good deadline day for Sweeney, I think.
So Garland is off the board. He is now being moved. Capitals are staying put for the rest of the trade deadline. There are some other we are waiting on some other moves. Like we said, Phil Kessel is not moving. Max Domi doesn't appear is moving, from what I've heard.
Start is going to Edmonton. It looks like
That's a good pickup for them. And Tyler Mott, like I said, was moved to the Rangers along with Andrew Kopp. And as of Saravelli, hearing the Ducks are trading Rickard Rakell to the Penguins. So that's
John Henry strikes again.
Oh my God.
I'm Bloom just brought Raquel to the Penguins.
So we'll see what that comes up with, but that is what it sounds like right now. So I haven't heard anything on the Bruins being done yet. So we'll see what happens there. But I don't understand. I wonder what the Penguins are offering that, the Bruins.
They're doing similar. They're making a final push here, guys. Bruins and Penguins are in a similar spot. I think they're making a final push to see if they can get one last deep cup run in before their core kind of ages out like ours is.
You say that, and it's funny because literally one of their Malkin's like friggin' 45 at this point, for Christ's sakes.
Guy's been in the league for 110 years.
Friggin', dude, it's ridiculous. He just, I forgot he was even in the league until like he came back from injury, I think it was.
It is still a top, it's Malkin might literally be like, again, a terrible comparison, but he might be like the Tom Brady of the hockey. It's just like, dude, you get older, but like, does your production ever slow down? You get hurt and you bounce back, and it's like you're 22 again. It's wild.
Yeah, it is official per Emily Kaplan. Sources, Rickard Rakell will be going to the Penguins. What the comeback, what the return is not known yet. But we have we'll give it about 5 more minutes before we hop off. See what else comes through. It's like you guys said, I'm not mad regardless. I mean, they should put the cherry on top. They really do need to put the cherry on top. But even if they don't, I mean, Jake DeBrusk has done good enough where you feel safe enough to have him on your first line now. Get Bergeron back and healthy. Like I said, Stanika. I don't know if I mentioned this or not. Stanika was sent down today.
Yep. Talked about it. Yep.
They sent him, McLaughlin, and Can down, and that's only because they are now eligible to play in the AHL playoffs for when that time comes. That was the only way they were going to be able to do that. So you probably won't be seeing Stanika on the first line like we thought today. So most likely you're going to see Eric Holla on the first line, then Charlie Coyle shift up to that second line center, and so on and so forth. So we'll see how that goes. Anything are we seeing? Any other and last thoughts, guys, before we close it off?
Now, ESPN Plus is reporting that trade to the Penguins. However, they haven't said what's coming back.
And I also haven't actually heard that Domi is out of the equation yet. So we'll see what happens there as well.
It's a kind of weird setup too, because they're all these guys from ESPN. They have legitimate meals in front of them. So like they're eating, and it's on mute now too, so I have no context of why they have meals in front of them. But like John Butchergross, Weeks, Tortorella, Callan, like they're all just sitting there with plates of like rice and chicken.
Just enjoying life right now, loving every second of it. But
I'm not, I'm kind of looking a different avenue now that it seems like everything's
sounds like Domi will be on the move. I just don't know where yet.
Oh, that's a big piece to fall. But I know I think we talked about this last week or on Wednesday. This McLaughlin kid from BC is 22.
Yep.
I'm wondering if they elevate this guy. I don't know why, but something within me kind of seems that he might be part of this move come playoff time that they bring up as more of, I know we keep talking depth, but he's a big kid. 6 feet, 210. He's
second round pick for Raquel in a prospect.
Are you kidding?
Well, we don't have a second round pick this year because we traded it for.
I know, but
Hummus.
All right, so second round pick, and what was it?
A prospect that is not known yet. They might have been asking for Lowry or LaSalle too. I don't know.
Right. Right. But I feel like when you don't name the prospect, it's not a top prospect in the system.
Oh no, 100%.
So even if you don't have a second round, but can you give him like 2/3 and then a prospect or something? Like, I don't know. I always I don't know. For whatever reason, those type of moves just rub me the wrong way. But anyways, back to this kid. I think he might get elevated here. Natural center, but can play right wing. I think that's the move to keep an eye out. A few weeks from now, I wouldn't be shocked to see him maybe getting a couple minutes on the third, fourth line, see what he can do.
Well, we'll wrap it up right there while we wait for everything else to come in. I need to get Kevin off to his baseball practice, so we'll wrap this up. Once again, this was Shorthanded Takes, a Boston Bruins podcast brought to you by Shocked Energy, and also brought to you by Couch Guys Sports, of course. Shocked Energy, once again, head over to shockedenergy.com and use promo code CGSN today for 10% off your order. We will be back on our regular Tuesday next week to go over everything that has been the trade deadline, and Lindholm expected to make his debut on Thursday, and we'll talk about that against the Lightning. So once again, thank you everyone for joining us. Hope you enjoyed this trade deadline special. We will be back next Tuesday. Once again, I'm Jeff Hoke here with Chris Henrique and Kevin Perdios. We will see you guys next week.
Peace.
Again, I'm not fine.